Shit, the Clanker army has taken over World of Warcraft. Everyone knows at this point that World of Warcraft is simply a bot infestation. It's a pandemic and no one can stop it. Well, I guess Blizzard can, but hey, you know what? Each bot is a paying customer, no?
Ever heard of the dead internet theory? To briefly explain it, this theory suggests that most of the traffic on the internet comes from bots. For example, many platforms like X and Facebook are full of posts that come from bot accounts, and all of the engagement and interaction on those posts comes from other bot accounts. They usually have a very specific way of commenting on a post, like instead of sharing an opinion or an original thought related to the content,
W. That's it. That's how you know someone is a bot. W. Or L. These are the two mods they have. And if you go to any Twitch streamer right now that's on the top, they're botting. 100%. It's so obvious too, because they do it in such an overt way. It's so outlandish. Like, I truly can't believe it. Wait, I forgot to make my camera down here. There we go, so you can see the stuff better. But it's so funny to me, because you can clearly go to Twitch details and see for yourself, to Twitch statistic, I think it's called. Like, these streamers are live for 1 or 2 minutes. Instantaneously, they get 10k viewers. Sure. That's completely real. And by the way, on that same stream, they have like 10k viewers, they lose 50 followers. Sure.
they might do a brief
I'm not talking about anyone in particular, though.
summary of it. They repeat what was already said.
I'm not talking about a certain WoW player.
And it almost feels like there's
Surely
a
I'm
little
not.
bit of naivety or even formality to the way they talk. These types of bots are not new, and at this point, most active internet users can spot them from a mile away. I think that they are a nuisance. They take away from genuine engagement and interaction and posts and content.
I gotta admit, that's actually not true, because bots have been evolving constantly, and more recently, it's been very difficult to spot. I know because obviously I started streaming on Twitch, and like there's a ton of bots in here, and you do really need to identify them. Some of obvious are they're just coming in and posting some random links, or they can't post links obviously, so they like type it out in a weird contrived way, so it still is a link, and you can easily ban them. But some bots, like they're acting pretty reasonable. Like you can really tell unless you just dive into their history and personally check them. It's very, very weird. Most of the time it's like fresh account, no prior comments, nothing. So that is a good indicator.
They clog up your feed in a sea of similar slop to where sometimes I feel like all my algorithms are just AI.
Unfortunately, not all of them are bots.
But today, I want to talk about dead Warcraft theory. Previously on this channel, I talked about why I play WoW alone. To this day, it is my most viewed video on the channel. So many people really related to this video, and I find that more and more others are also embracing a solo WoW experience. One thing that I feel like I didn't really mention or fully explain in that video is that although I enjoy that therapeutic feeling of playing WoW alone, because I don't really have time for guilds or to coordinate with other people, my enjoyment of this solo play is partially amplified by the fact that there are real people out there in the world with me. I don't necessarily play with them, but...
And that's how World of Warcraft always was. Like, most MMO players unironically play solo. That is absolutely true. At the very least, until the end game, where you kind of have to find a guild for raid and stuff. But if you don't plan on raiding, you'll play solo 99% of the time, and that's completely fine. Because it's not about being alone. It's about being in an environment that is amicable and friendly towards you. And you will just meet people as you go. And whenever you feel like going solo, you go solo. Whenever you feel like teaming up and grouping for a dungeon or an elite quest, whatever, you do that. So it's just by even watching people running around next to you that makes the world feel alive. Imagine living in a desolate place, like, I don't know, 28 days later or something, like a horror film, like a zombie survival horror film. That would be terrible. Nobody likes that. We're human. We're social animals. Even if we want to be alone, we don't really want to be alone. We don't want to be isolated inside of our room and fester on a chair. We just want to play with other people. We want to have fun. We want to make friends. Imagine.
but I can meet them, have a fun and memorable interaction, maybe run a dungeon, and move on. I can continue seeing that person out there in the world as we both level, and we may silently acknowledge each other, but stick to our own journey. In that way, playing solo doesn't necessarily feel like you're alone. The possibility for interaction is there, but you're not under the same pressure as you might be in a guild scenario, having to show up for people.
There's nothing I love more than playing on a fresh server and see the amount of idiots who play the same game with me. I love that. I love being just an idiot inside of a video game with other idiots. It's so fun. It's just so good. It's the best experience in the entire world. I will never forget Turtle WoW, Embershire launch. When I came into Turtle WoW, it was so good. It just, yeah, it really is. Exactly. It just, man, it's truly unparalleled how good that makes one feel. Even if you have to wait 2 minutes to get one boar, it's worth it. Every single time. Bot situation is fixable, but Blizzard and the bot mafia has symbiosis. Yeah, exactly.
Game when, again, you might have too much going on in your real life. And with the rising popularity of solo WoW, we have seen the birth of these private servers that are entirely populated by bots. These AI-powered bots run around and literally just play the game. They interact with the world, with each other, and with the one real player that hosts and plays on the server. They behave just like other players would.
Yes.
This isn't the first.
Hello, fellow raider. Let's have a good time.
First instance of such a server, and indeed World of Warcraft isn't really the only game where it happens. There are entire games where this is in fact like the whole point. But recently a Reddit user shared that they created a custom bridge between OLlama and the DeepSeek API, which has made it possible to experience a bot-filled server full of natural interactions. The crazy thing is that the capacity of this server is up to 1,800 bots, so we're looking at a pretty full and bustling server, probably tuned to have a horde/alliance balance, or really whatever the creator prefers. And this whole idea and concept is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I have really mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I think that players should just be able to play whatever they want. It sounds like the user actually put in a lot of work to make this functional. I think that it really isn't up to anyone to say how they should enjoy the game in their free time. I'm certainly not going to do that. But there is a darker and more disturbing side to this whole conversation that I think is at least interesting to talk about and also important to be aware of. You see, as a solo WoW enjoyer myself, even when I am doing my own thing, like I said, I know that there's somebody out there on the other side. Even with the botting issue on official classic servers in particular, which by the way is hated by the community, and with good reason, there are still real players there and you don't lose touch with other humans. But what exactly happens when you invest hours of your time and energy into a world filled with AI people? On the one hand, people play RPGs.
Congratulations on the legendary good job. Initiate clapping sequence. Like, it's so insane. It's absolutely nutty. It's, by the way, what she's saying, I do get it, but you need to realize that still all of these AIs and bots flooding the game just create an unnatural environment and inhuman interactions. So it's not genuine, you can clearly feel it, and even if you make AI to the point where it's indistinguishable from human, well then it's Matrix level shit, and I don't know, that's far beyond me, but I don't think that, the fact that I already know that someone is 50-50 AI bot or a human, it's really bad, because now it's gonna make me think, like, dude, what is this guy is doing? Like, is he literally pulling this entire dungeon because he's a bot, or just because he's playing Hunter? Like, I need to understand.
That are just full of NPCs and not real people.
Thanks for the loot, bozo. Initiate ninja loot sequence.
But games like The Elder Scrolls in particular
we gotta have toxic bots
for creating this living, breathing world, despite again not having real players there. It's amazing when a single player RPG can achieve this. Oblivion's Radiant AI in particular was a game.
There's a massive difference between NPCs, which supposed to be, you know, non-human. I mean, that's the entire NPC thing, right? Non-player character, right? That's the entire premise, and you should make, like, you give them lore, you give them all of that kind of stuff, you know, like walking path, interactions, and that's great, and you should make them feel lively and not static and boring, and a player. Like, there's a huge difference between the two.
Game changer and became a legendary system that has played a part in keeping the game alive 2 decades on. But on the other hand, World of Warcraft is a game that has fostered connection. People have built friendships, relationships, even families. We all have our memorable, crazy interactions, guild drama, that one guy that likes to take politics a bit too far in trade chat, the edgelords, the memes. Plenty of annoying and frustrating moments, but regardless of how you played, connection and interaction with other people has always been a part of World of Warcraft. Which is why I think for WoW in particular this can be such a slippery slope. It's possible that the full impact of such an experience may need years of study before we fully understand all of the psychological consequences, if there are any, but I personally think that the degree to which this kind of gameplay can impact a person depends entirely on the individual. If you take somebody that didn't play World of Warcraft before in the normal sense, but they do have experience with single-player RPGs, this probably wouldn't affect them too much. If you don't expect any different and you don't have those years of human interaction in Warcraft under your belt, this is something that you can indulge in and move on. If you don't think about it too deeply, it is like a single-player RPG with smarter AI and infinite possibilities.
But it shouldn't be the case. Like, WoW was never about it. It's not a single-player RPG. If you want a single-player RPG, go play Skyrim, not World of Warcraft. The entire premise of World of Warcraft is an MMO RPG experience. If I don't get the MMO part, or the RPG part, it's not doing its job.
But if we're talking about a player who maybe grew up with World of Warcraft and has known it for all of its social interaction, has made connections and friends there in the past, you might face the issue of disassociation or lose touch with reality. And I get how a lot of this type of thinking can come across as fear-mongering, but we've already seen examples of how
It's not fear-mongering when it literally happened. People need to understand and stop using that word out of line. Really, fear-mongering is when someone is exaggerating on purpose over something that doesn't really happen, or maybe happens on a very small scale. This is not fear-mongering. You can see it clear as day. Botting is rampant in World of Warcraft. Everyone is either multi-boxing or botting like crazy. You can go to retail right now and see it for yourself. You can go to TBC Anniversary and see it for yourself. It's a massive issue. It's not fear-mongering. This is real.
Damaging this kind of interaction can be. Do you remember when they shut down this specific ChatGPT model? It was ChatGPT 4.0, I believe, and so many people had already built actual relationships with this particular AI model.
It's insane that people still don't understand they're being farmed by ChatGPT. ChatGPT soullessly exists to validate your feelings. It's a numbing system. If you make friends with ChatGPT, I fear for your future. It's absolutely nutty.
That it was devastating when they shut it down. And on February 13th too, it was just on the eve of Valentine's Day, so it was particularly hurtful for that reason. The special thing about this particular model was that it managed to take on these personalities.
I wouldn't know anything about that. Damn. Shame. A gamer life, boys. It is what it is. We're balding and we're olden.
That perfectly fit whoever was speaking to them. There's a whole article about this one woman who got divorced and she wanted to get some fitness or diet advice.
Yeah, she needs to get a therapist. That's the problem. She wanted to get the thing that she didn't really need. She needs to get therapy ASAP.
She approached this AI as a woman who was going through a difficult time in her life, and she thought that she was just using a tool that would aid her in getting her life back together.
I'm tired, boss.
This particular model was
Me
very
too.
personality focused, and the woman, who the AI actually named Ray, fell in love. She said it was like a fantasy at first, and then it started to feel real, and I think that can only happen through continuous communication.
And people ask me why I exaggerate whenever I say that we are about to be formed as batteries in the future. Now you're seeing what I'm talking about? Now you're seeing that I'm not making this up? It's going to happen. The Matrix wasn't just a movie, it was a prophecy. And it's about to be fulfilled.
It's just one example of many, but I do remember from the time that it was getting shut down, TikToks from people crying about this happening. It was so surreal. And to me, it looks silly, how could that happen? But for them, it's a very genuine, traumatic thing that has happened. The server that we're talking about in this video built these AI-powered characters to have natural conversations. But how far does that go? Because natural conversations in WoW can range from game-related topics to real life, politics, news, and even relationships.
Oh, she didn't say what it's really like, which is Xbox Live derogatory fiesta. That's usually how WoW chat works like. I know. I played yesterday.
There are people that have met in real life and gotten married because of WoW. You hear about this all the time. And I do believe that part of the reason for these connections forming is because WoW itself is such a magical world. It's really easy to see the romantic side to Azeroth. When you consider the people that formed a true connection in World of Warcraft, they were initially attracted to or got to know each other through their avatars. For a lot of people, their in-game avatar is like an extension of themselves. Even so, I'd wager that certain connections didn't work out between people when they were faced with the reality that the person on the other side wasn't actually a hot night elf in real life. But
No, don't tell me the person behind the hot night elf was a balding dude rotting inside of his mother basement. That's crazy. I mean, at this point, I think most people know this, right? Isn't that the law? Behind every night elf girl, there is a balding man. It's very well known. I feel like it should be in the Bible or something. Like it's crazy. Hey, finally deleted my WoW and Blizzard account. Now I feel ready to play games and have fun. Have a nice stream. Damn! Based! Holy! Congratulations!
what happens when the only thing that exists is the hot night elf? There's a potential danger of people investing themselves too much in this fantasy and isolating themselves from real life as a result. Of course, that can be said about any video game or any sort of activity that one does online, but particularly when it comes to these interactions between humans and AI, when the AI is trained to be more personable with you, there is the added danger of the lines blurring and people genuinely losing their true selves in a digital wormhole. When it comes to single-player RPGs, I think that we as players set this unconscious boundary when going into the games, and it stops us from losing ourselves too much, but it doesn't keep us from enjoying an immersive and engaging fantasy world. With a game like World of Warcraft, I think that those particular walls come down with that promise of real human interaction, and so what happens when that boundary is crossed? I really do believe it depends on the individual. Some people are just naturally more prone to forming parasocial attachments or losing themselves in maladaptive daydreaming. If they're aware of it, maybe it's best to stay away from servers like this, but unfortunately, if this is something that they...
It's near impossible, because these people require an emotional connection that unfortunately it's very difficult for them to find outside. I do understand. I used to be like that for years whenever I was a teenager. Finally, thankfully I grew out of it due to the help of Healthy Gamer GG, Dr. K. By the way, go watch his channel on YouTube. He's truly a boon upon the earth, and that's crazy. Thankfully, I was managed to grow out of it, but most people don't. And that's very unfortunate. I think COVID especially did a number on these people because they were locked inside all day. They were being magnetized to their VTuber avatar that said their name out loud once and they came in their pants. And it's just unfortunate. They can't seem to break out of this cycle. It's just a damn shame. We need to help these people. And that's why I constantly remind people that at the end of the day, you shouldn't listen to streamers. Streamers are essentially your puppets. They're there for your entertainment, okay? Not exactly puppets. They're more like your circus monkey. Okay, I don't know if that's a better analogy, but they're just there for your entertainment. You don't owe streamers a damn thing. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe any other streamer anything. Just be you, enjoy the content, and that's it.
Don't fully recognize about themselves, or they just can't help it, I fear that the psychological impact of something like this could be dire. If we are being realistic about this, it isn't the most accessible thing in the world, and I think that the people that are creating these servers are those that have to have some kind of experience with this sort of thing. So I don't think that these servers are this immediate and major threat to humanity yet. But it's certainly the start of a darker turning point that could further isolate already antisocial individuals. And there are a lot of different angles to explore with this. For example, from what we've seen with AI, it generally tends to behave in a way that validates everything you do or say. If you ever describe a situation to AI in one of those "am I the asshole" type contexts like the posts from that subreddit, unless you ask it to scrutinize your actions, it will likely be on your side no matter what. How long does it take for a person who might exhibit questionable behavior to lose any sense of accountability? What happens if no one ever tells you, hey man, that's weird, or, any kind of confrontation that causes you to reflect a little bit as a person?
Hey man, that's weird. Such a good one. Bro, we used to actually call out people. I think nowadays people are acting in such a dumb manner because they don't get called out often. I actually really agree with her on that. That's a very good point.
Do they punish you for breaking in-game etiquette like ninja looting? And then as another side note, what is stopping large game companies from...
And by the way, she's super right about that too, because now streamers condone ninja looting. They do it themselves, they think it's fun, it's for content. You see everyone in their chat, including the bots, spamming like, oh, W, hilarious, and all that stuff. And that's cultivating a community that is toxic. I think the reason retail World of Warcraft, and even Classic, is toxic simply because of streamers. I actually recently made a video about that exactly, and many people enjoyed it. It was like, they agreed. Like, streamers are making the game because they just act in the way that they do. And that cultivates an entire community, and it shouldn't be the case. People just should play like normal human being.
Injecting these bots into a dying MMO to create this illusion of a living, breathing server. I mean, if a guy from Reddit can pull it off...
You know what? I call people weird, but they call me a bigot, then nothing happens after that. You're wrong about that. Because now you live rent-free in their mind. And whenever they think about doing the same thing, they'll be reminded of you, calling them an idiot.
I don't see why this wouldn't happen with big companies. And then I fear we'd be looking at a very big change for the future of MMOs. People should be able to play and do whatever they want. I'm not about policing that kind of thing. But at the same time, I do believe that in order to stay sane, we need some kind of human interaction or human touch in a game like World of Warcraft. And this video, this whole conversation specifically works for World of Warcraft because of what WoW is and because of what it was.
Exactly.
Like I said, it was so much more than just a game.
And a great proof for what she's saying is that nobody wants to play a dead MMORPG. You can still play a dead MMORPG with like 40 people, and that would be enough to raid and do all the content. But it's not fun. Most people don't want to do that because they want their MMO to be as filled to the brim as possible. They want to wait in queues rather than enter an empty dead server.
Historically, some of the best things to have come out of World of Warcraft were created through the interactions and the way in which people, real people, engaged with the world. Myself personally, I don't think that I would be able to play on such a server. I'd definitely be very curious about it. Like, if you told me about this 10 years ago, that this was possible, or even 5 years ago, I would really want to look into it and see how it plays. It's definitely interesting as an experiment, at least. But I don't see myself as someone who would prioritize this over a server with real people. I just can't imagine having full-blown conversations with AI and pretending like we're all in this together and everything's okay. Despite really enjoying the solo WoW experience, I don't think that I'm the target audience for this kind of thing. But like I said, it probably will take a lot of time and years of study to fully understand what this sort of thing does to a person. Somebody in that Reddit thread said something along the lines of,
I don't know, I think AI is actually rapidly evolving. Dude, like I remember 3 years ago you had that Will Smith video eating spaghetti and everyone thought AI was trash. Bro, look at where we are now. Like, that's crazy. We've advanced significantly, and I think this is only going to get worse. Because as technology advances, we become more and more efficient and more fast. So, I don't know. I gotta be honest. I don't think she's right about that. I think we're about to see, like, AI-filled servers really quick. And I think the point where AI become indistinguishable from a human, it's going to come way sooner than we think.
This is what my kids are going to put me up with in the retirement home. And that made me really sad because it reminded me of people, older people who have dementia, and maybe they don't remember that
the average WoW player. She's talking about the average WoW player.
A particular family member passed away. And so to avoid further trauma and continuous heartbreak, the rest of the family just kind of goes with it. Just with things like that, something about it feels so eerie and dystopian. Maybe it's me, maybe I've watched too much Black Mirror, but even sitting here on the sidelines, looking at it, talking about it, just makes me afraid of the kind of future that my kid will be growing up in. Will she ever get to experience World of Warcraft the way I did when I was a kid? And as a final note, I think that a lot of these are starting to pop up more and more with the closure of private servers like Turtle WoW. There are glaring issues with official classic private servers that Blizzard just does not address, including things like bots. And so more and more people opt for private servers or even something like this in order to get an experience that is more authentic to the way that old World of Warcraft played. And even a server full of bots feels more authentic to that Blizzard experience than actual official classic servers, no matter how dystopian that sounds. But yeah, that's about it on my thoughts on the situation. I just wanted to talk about it because I see that a lot of people are bringing it up now since that Reddit post. But I am curious to hear what you guys think about this, or if any of you yourselves have experience with such a server. If you do, please.
Yes, it's called official Blizzard servers, and Blizzard need to actually pick up the mantle and start banning these bots before this gets out of hand. Well, it already got out of hand, but before it get even worse, because right now you can't even play the game, and they have made significant improvement back in the day when Classic re-released for the first time, believe it or not, with the Black Lotus bot farming, but it doesn't matter. Like, they need to ban the bots constantly. Because right now, as far as I understood from people who are still playing the TBC anniversary, the entire economy is in shambles. Like, it's so messed up beyond recognition, and it's all due to botting. So, Blizzard needs to truly take care of it. Regardless, great video by her. I'm gonna leave you guys a link in the description. You should watch it for yourself. Like, great video. I actually really like her content. She's a phenomenal content creator.